Hello, in this session I wish to revisit Kcse Form 4 English exam and specifically English Paper 2. The first question is always about reading comprehension. This question has 20 marks. We expect a student to read through the passage just once. Most students read the passage like 6 times. They feel like they don't understand. They keep reading until they get to that level whereby they want to get it right. So read the question just once, read the passage just once, then go for the first question, look for the answer. That's how we do it. As much as possible, encourage students to paraphrase the question before lifting the answers from the passage. Unless the question asks for a student's personal opinion, we expect them to simply get the answer directly from the passage. Why? The passage is the marking scheme. Next, I'll be giving a breakdown of the kind of questions you get on a reading comprehension. Question 2. We have what we call excerpts. Excerpt usually is from a compulsory set book. Set book. This is usually 25 marks. So usually, let me say this is 25 marks. Usually there is a passage either from the play or from the novel. So what are we asking about in this passage? One, the most common questions are usually identify 2 character traits of a given character. In that case, a student should give a character trait and illustrate from the passage. Those are 2 marks. Another character trait and illustrate, 2 marks. The other common question is always about issues raised in the text, in the passage, which is an excerpt. The issues, we are looking for the themes or the ideas that have been discussed. So the themes could be, for example, religion, education, betrayal, poor governance, corruption, etc. So once a student identifies the correct theme and illustrates, each is a mark. Another common question is always the language used by the writer. By the language used, we mean the styles. Is there repetition? Is there biblical allusion? Is there are there similes, metaphors, among other styles, which I'll be covering in a separate video. Then another question is always put this extract in its immediate context. In that case, we expect the student to tell us what happens immediately before the excerpt and immediately after. Each is 2 marks. We also have a question of 4 marks. A student is expected to give us the meaning of words and phrases as used in the passage. We encourage them to give us the meaning as used in the passage, not to give us a sentence with a word. They could either give us the meaning of the individual words or simply do what we call check with the context. I'll get to that at some point. There's always a question of 2 marks on your understanding of the rest of the text. Question 3. We have what we call literary appreciation. Literary appreciation. Usually this is 20 marks. Now, the Kenya National Examination Council, which is in charge of exams in Kenya, has been doing contrasting. Like last year, the Kcse exam came with a narrative. This year, we expect a poem to be set. We expect, and that is guaranteed. So with the poem, most of our students fear poetry, yet poetry is one of the easiest areas to score. So what is expected of a student? A poem is just a story. If a question like, what is the poem about? We expect a student to basically read through the poem, get the story, and then rewrite that story in their own words. What is the poem saying? Give us a breakdown from the beginning towards the end. Another common question is always about, again, styles used by the writer, things about the themes or the issues raised by the writer. Character traits, you describe a given character in that particular poem. So we expect you to actually, you can say whatever you say, as long as you can illustrate it correctly, you have it correct. Expect questions on tone, mood, and attitude. Also expect something to do with how the writer, probably how the writer has used certain words. You're told to give the meaning of the words and the phrases as used in that particular poem. Lastly, question 4 is always about grammar. And this question is 15 marks. So the total for paper 2 is 80 marks out of the possible 200. So paper 1 is 60 marks, paper 2 80 marks, paper 3 60 marks. The total is 200. Divide by 2, you get your percentage. So on grammar, you get grammar questions from various aspects of grammar from Form 1 to Form 4. And this grammar, it's a very sensitive area. A student may have the correct answer, but if the gap is within a sentence, we expect the answers to start with a small letter. But if the gap is at the beginning of a sentence, we expect the answer to begin with a capital letter. So we pay attention to punctuation. Wrong punctuation, you get it wrong. The other thing about grammar, maybe let me just say generally, to score in this paper, this is a common, let me say all the answers are basically there. The grammar we test in paper 2 has nothing to do with, it's not direct. Instead, it's application. You're just told to write this sentence beginning with the word but, or write this sentence beginning with the word hardly. In that case, we are testing your knowledge of what you learned. We will not ask you direct questions like what is a gerund, or differentiate between a gerund and a participle phrase. Or sometimes NEC even goes ahead to give you grammar questions with multiple choices. You are given like 2 words to choose from. Unfortunately, because our students don't like reading, they always go for the wrong answers. So that brings us to the end of that discussion. One of my fans asked me to give a breakdown of paper 2, and that is it. Thank you so much.